All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from RaR Brewing, and they're out of Cambridge, Maryland, and this is their Imperial Nectar. So this is a double IPA that comes in at 9% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed, time of review, and this can is just under 3 months old. And I picked this one up at Halftime Beverage via halftimebeverage.com. So in the description box, post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that I grabbed, and I picked up 31 different beers, and included in those 31 different beers was a mixed 10-pack of RaR offerings. 6 of those were within their out-of-order pastry sour series. 1 was a pastry stout, and 3 of those were hop-forward beers, and this is the third and final of the 3 that I'm reviewing. The first 2, absolutely fantastic, although they were hazies. There was a triple IPA called 4 Luck, gave it a 4.75 out of 5. Fantastic hazy triple IPA. Then the other one was their Just Squeeze, which was like an orange-based hazy double IPA, although I don't think they brewed it with any fruit. It was just from the hops themselves. I give that a 4.35 out of 5. Simplistic but delicious. So I'm reviewing this one last because when the box showed up, this was already over 2 months old, about 9 weeks old. And we'll see if this gets posted. So if you're watching this right now, then I thought enough of this beer to post it. But I don't think it's fair to the brewery to review something that's almost 3 months old that's supposed to be a hop-forward beer. But some beers like this do hold up 2, 3, 4 months down the line. So I want to see what this one is all about. This is apparently an Imperial version of their Nanticoke, something like that. It's Nanticoke. So Nanticoke Nectar, which is like their flagship IPA that they've been brewing since 2013. This is Imperial version. That beer is brewed with Cascade, Centennial, and Citra. I would assume that's the same for this, but not a lot of information, whether it's on the can or anywhere else. So anyway, I'm going to crack it open, pour it in the glass, and hope that this held up. If not, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But sometimes you got to try it. I didn't know if I was going to review it, but I was like, you know what? Thinking about it, I was like, all right, let's do it. Give it a nice pour here. That's exactly what it looks like. So on tap, it definitely looked like a older school IPA or double IPA, because you would expect that if they're the flagship beer from 2013 is probably very similar. So got in the Dogfish Head like IPA glass, but that's what it looks like. And in person, it looks a little bit lighter than that. So let's see if you can, yeah, you know, with this contraband fucking, the flashlight, you can see it. But you can see the, let me get my stupid face out of the way, but you can see the good carbonation. This has the nucleation at the bottom that promotes that. But yeah, this, on camera, it's a little bit darker than what you're seeing, what I'm seeing in person, though. So just got to be honest with that. But it looks beautiful, in my opinion. Anyway, yeah, the clarity's great. It has like that kind of orange golden color, finger of an off-white, creamy looking head. Let's get a nose. So it smells somewhat fresh and somewhat old. So the first thing is lots of citrus. Pithy orange, grapefruit, maybe even a little bit, like a smidge of like a peach. But then I'm getting a big like malty sensation of like white bread and caramel. It says drink fresh right on the can. It's unfortunate. Like, so I bought that mixed 10-pack from Halftime, and I knew that the hop forward beers weren't going to be super fresh. That 4 Luck was just over 2 months old, and the Just Squeezed was 9 weeks old, and this is just under 3 months old. I didn't review this one fresh because honestly I was looking forward to the other ones a little bit more, and I wanted to get to them before they suffered the same fate potentially as this one. But I'll be honest with you, it smells pretty good. It smells like an old school like West Coast double IPA. There's citrus. It's a little bit. Honestly, I'm glad I'm using this Dogfish Head glass because it kind of reminds me of like 90 Minute. I don't know if that's kind of what they're going for, but it kind of has like a 90 Minute vibe. Has a nice complex bread, maltiness with that bread, a little bit of caramel. And then the nose is citrus, touch of peach, and then like a floral pine kind of nose. Yeah, this reminds me, you know what? This reminds me of 90 Minute. I don't know if that's what they're going for. It kind of reminds me of that. Anyway, let's get into it. It smells pretty good. Cheers, everyone. And as you know, I've been getting it more into like West Coast IPAs and like older school IPAs, so this might be more in my wheelhouse than I realize. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm going to be posting this review. Why? Honestly, it reminds me of so many, like I reviewed 90 Minute within the past couple of years, I think, and this has 90 Minute vibes to me. It's, there's a substantial malt character here, which might be a little bit more forward because of the age of the beer for sure. but I still get a beautiful bitterness and dryness on the finish. It has a nice citrus character. The hops are still here. It's just might be a little bit more malt driven, but that 90-minute I drank relatively fresh. It's kind of similar to this, so. Buying this one is higher side of medium, approaching low full, 9%, appropriate. The mouthfeel is an old school mouthfeel, has a moderate carbonation, spritzy on the palate, very crisp, super clean as well. Smooth going down. Body and mouthfeel are excellent. The taste, it's exactly what I said in the nose, and kind of like what that 90-minute was. This is an old school double IPA / Imperial IPA through and through. Get a little bit of that orange marmalade character that indicates it's a bit older. But again, I like orange marmalade. I don't know how many times I have to say this in reviews, but not everybody watches all the reviews. If you're a new viewer, you'd be like, why does he like the orange marmalade character? I grew up, my grandma, as a kid, loved orange marmalade on white toast. So I had orange marmalade as a kid. And as I progressed through the years, I just like orange marmalade. I like all kinds of marmalade, but orange marmalade is my favorite, especially on white toast. Just, one of those things where you grew up with it, so the nostalgia kicks in and I like it. But anyway, forefront, lots of citrus, orange, all different kinds of orange, but it's orange, grapefruit, maybe a little bit of tangerine. It's pithy, it's zesty, it's not super juicy. It's more of the, bittering kind of citrus quality. Grapefruit. And then orange marmalade definitely hits. A little bit of underlying white bread, a touch of caramel. Midway through the palate, I get a nice pop of like a ripened peach. And then on the finish, there's a touch of pineapple, which I didn't say in the nose, and then it has a nice floral, earthy, slightly piney finish. Bone dry with a moderate bitterness. Nice warming in my chest, 9%, nothing on the palate. Pretty well balanced. If anything, it leans a little bit more dry and bitter than I anticipated. I do think fresher, that citrus quality, maybe even the stone fruits would have popped a little bit more. But I can't sit here and tell you this is a bad beer because it's fucking not. And it's almost 3 months old. So I'm glad I reviewed this one. I got it from Halftime Beverage, threw it right in the fridge to kind of preserve what I could. And yeah, this is awesome. I'd love to try this fresh sometime to see how it compares. But again, it's very reminiscent of 90-minute from Dogfish Head. I don't know if that's kind of what their inspiration was, but I could see that it would be their inspiration based on what I'm tasting because it's very akin to that beer. Is it as good as that beer? It's in the eye of the beholder. But I think this is a nice double IPA that just reminds me of drinking beers in the early 2010s where you'd pick up a 90-minute or like, a 8 or 9% West Coast double IPA or Imperial IPA. These are the kind of flavors you would get. West Coast brings more of that piney, that resinous pine floral sensation. This is more of a floral earthiness and not as bitter either. But it's a very good beer. I enjoy this one. Not going to give it a crazy high score. Gotta keep, call a spade and keep it real with you guys. You always get honest reviews. But for an old school, and again, I don't know when they release this one, if this is maybe the first release, but if they are ramping up an Imperial version, a double IPA version of their flagship IPA from 2013 that has Cascade, Centennial, and Citra, this is kind of what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting some hazy juice bomb that's just, that's not what this beer should be, and it's not what it is. So anyway, Imperial Nectar from RaR. I'm going to just leave it at this. It's a 4 out of 5. It's a very nice beer that I would say I enjoy, and I'm going to enjoy drinking the rest of this one, and I dig it. Like I said, if you're a 60 or 90-minute, but more 90-minute fan from Dogfish Head, you need to get your hands on this. Price point and availability, I have no idea because, again, I bought 10 beers. The mixed 4-pack was $44 for those 10 beers, so $4.40 a can. I would hope that if this comes in 6-packs that this is not more than like $15 6-pack and more in like a $12, $13 range. So if anybody has had this one, bought it at RaR or maybe in and around the Cambridge, Maryland area or wherever they get distro, let me know. I would hope this is like $2 to $3, like $2 to $2.50 for a can of that. That would be like kind of going rate, I think, because again, you can get 90-minute and it's very cheap. It's like a couple dollars a bottle. So, if this is like $3 or $4 a can, I'd much rather have 90-minute. But if it was $2 to $2.50, yeah, I would definitely buy it again. Availability, it's RaR, that Nanticoke Nanticoke Nectar is their flagship IPA, so you should see that one. I don't know if this is going to be something that's like a rotating offering or like a special release, but there's a Imperial version of that apparently. And if you're around the Cambridge area, or you can get distribution of RaR stuff outside of the like out of order series, you should see it. And they also on their website you can order it. I don't know if you can order this specifically, but you can order stuff to be shipped. So just check out their website, see if you can get their stuff if you've never had it before. So I'm going to shut this one down. That does it for the RaR hop forward beers. Still have, at the time I'm reviewing this, I have 5 more out of order beers and that pastry stout that I got to get to. I'm going to spread them out over a couple month period. Probably drink one like every other week or something, because I can't handle drinking those like every week. It's a lot of calories, just a lot of stuff going on in those beers. So anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here in the Beer PaTroll. Like I said, 9%, nice warming in the chest, nothing on the palate. And honestly, if you've had this or the flagship IPA from them, let me know in the comment section what you think about it. Is this a straight up scaled up version of that beer? Because if so, I'd love to try that regular beer at some point. To the next one. Cheers.